Well, Red vs. Blue is always about the characters, right? The problem was when it was all machinima in the past, if you ever wanted to have anything happen in the story or anything to develop with the characters, you had to say it. It was a very spoken story. I always make the joke that the first few seasons of Red vs. Blue were written with 7 verbs. You know, if it appeared on a controller, we could do it. We could jump, we could hit, we could walk, we could turn, you know, but that was pretty much it.
Ow! Stop!
Well, the custom animation opens up a ton of opportunities to do basically whatever we want to. So the problem becomes not what can we do, but what should we do?
I'm very big on character-driven animation, and I always do my research and references when I think and talk about what a character should and shouldn't do. Layering a bumbling character onto what's supposed to be a capable soldier, and you get this good mix of just character-driven animation.
They wouldn't be able to pull a flying kick off the top of a crate. They would be the guy who falls off the crate and lands on top of somebody.
There were early moments where I would try something, and then it's like, that's too cool for this person, or that isn't quite in character with this person. And I would go back and just try something else.
The philosophy is that this should all look like something that you could imagine as you're playing Halo. It's like when Simmons jumps off the side of the base and he grabs onto the back of the Warthog. That in my head is how I feel it would be like in a multiplayer match if the Warthog came running by the base and I jumped up and grabbed onto the turret as it went by. Where are we and where do we want to end up? That's how we've always done Red vs. Blue. Every season has been, we start it, we know where we are, we know where we want to go, what comes in the middle. Action sequences work that exact same way. We wanted to establish Tex as a badass. People already knew it, but we wanted to, sink it in and cement it. We had written this storyline about the storage facility where she was, and as part of that, we thought it'd be fun to have other elements from previous versions of the game. The teleporter became a big part of that.
Oh, shit! That was awesome! Ow!
The tools that we have with Halo 3 allow us to just go into the game itself and make the set that we want for animation. And so our set is machinima, but our characters that are acting out are custom animation characters.
Oh, come on!
Basically, when we get shots from Monty, they look flat shaded. They look almost like cartoons. And we'll take a look at the environments and we'll compare those to the environments in the actual game. And we try to emulate that as best we can, knowing we're not going to get everything right and make the shot just look cool, for lack of a better term.
The whole project of Revelation has made me think that now live action and animation really aren't on that different a spectrum anymore either. Because the tools that we have to create animation with our mocap studio, run in there, turn on the cameras, get in front of the cameras and move around, just like we do it for live action as well.
One of the most challenging aspects, but also one of the most fun, is coming up with all the particles, all the smoke and explosions that really marry the shot together and make it feel like it's in-game. All of those elements we make in a program called Particle Illusion. Some of the particle effects that you can create in the program looks very similar to Halo's smoke and fire, but it's also unique and gives the animated shots, I think, a little bit more oomph and a little bit more of their own character. So let's take a shot, for example. This one's called Rollout, and in this scene, Tex has just jumped out of the teleporter. Behind her, there's a massive explosion with propane tanks. Sarge, Simmons, Griff, and Tucker are all flying through the air. It's a lot of chaos, a lot of fire, a lot of smoke, a lot of debris. Just in this one file, we'll strip back here and see that we actually have over 50 different layers comprising the entire thing. We'll throw in some props here in the front of the scene from our CG environment. Now we're starting to add sparks. And we've got propane tank trails, random med packs. There's Sarge himself flying through the air. And our initial explosion for the scene is actually going to happen from an in-game explosion. We can see there, in fact, is a rocket being shot from off-screen. Hits the fusion coils, explodes. We get that great explosion. We'll take that, all those elements, put our animated characters on top of them, put our new pyrotechnic effects on top of them. When it all comes together, you got something that's a new hybrid between machinima and animation, and it looks, I think, pretty cool.
We specifically wanted to have a moment where the animation just hit you all at once, that this is a sudden change and there's something new here. And we thought the best way to do that was have a Warthog crash through a wall.
Well, part of it was building an asset that looked like the wall so that I could break it, and then replicate the Warthog via screenshots and a lot of forged photos of the textures. So getting Wash to climb up the hood of the Warthog, a lot of that happened through hand animation, a lot of trial and error, and really just my experience in animating weight of what a person would look like if they were climbing onto an object. A regular 3D artist would want to build the perfect stage for driving that scene, but I'm okay with having a stationary car and having the background roll as if it was maybe projected on a screen, because the less you worry about geography, the more you have time to focus on what the camera should be pointing at. And that's one of the flaws, or maybe one of my strengths in 3D animation, is I don't think of it as 3D animation. I think of it as a version of maybe live action or 2D animation that's animated right to the camera, very much like live action, where everything in frame looks good, the rest of the set is a mess.
When that Warthog busted through the wall, an audience just went nuts. They went nuts. And you're like, yeah, we're going in the right direction.